Hello, and welcome to another episode of Aligned Heart. This is Misty Springer, and I am here with my friend Hannah Stucci. She is an artist, and she is one of those extraordinary women that I love to interview. Uh, as you know, as a regular listener to my podcast, we share stories of extraordinary women who don't start out on this extraordinary journey thinking they're very extraordinary. Most of the women that I interview feel like they're doing pretty ordinary things. And yet, the difference that I find is that they are following a call on their heart. And as they follow that call on their heart, as they tune into that little niggle that says, yes, take that next step, they are taking one ordinary step at a time and creating extraordinary results. And so, if you as a listener feel like it's just ordinary me doing my ordinary life, hold on, because as you start to take those ordinary steps, following that call on your heart, extraordinary things are in store. And Hannah is such a beautiful example of this. I've been excited to have her on my podcast. She is the owner of Tea Scarlet Fine Art. She is a local artist in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. And she has taken this gift that she has and made it into something extraordinary. And so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I would love for you to hear Hannah's story, but we're going to talk about all things. We're going to talk about how Hannah created this fine art gallery, what she's doing with it now, and the ordinary steps that she's taken to create this extraordinary result in her own life. So Hannah, welcome. So excited to have you here.
Thanks, Misty. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah. So let's begin with your story, maybe starting from that place of like, I know that I have this little niggle on my heart, this gift that I'm meant to share with the world. And what took you from that idea or that little niggle on your heart into creating what you've created today?
Actually, I didn't have a belief that I had a gift to share. The thing that started me on this path of doing this was, it felt like out of necessity, actually. So I had been painting for maybe 3 or 4 years, and I was in a position after my divorce of trying to figure out what I was going to do to make a living. And I have an English degree, and the thought of going and getting a job in the schools to teach was absolutely, it felt like there's no way. I have 4 kids, and the place where I was with my kids at the time and my emotional well-being and upheaval, I knew there was absolutely no way I was going to go get a job in the schools. It wouldn't work. And so I was staying at my mom's house. I remember so clearly sitting on her living room floor, trying to create a resume with nothing. I'd been a stay-at-home mom for like 18 years. And I had sold a few of my paintings. And so at this point, I was applying to different jobs. I was applying to bartend. I was doing yard work for people. I was any $20 I could make raking leaves or anything. That's what I was doing at that time. And I had done a little bit of photography. I played music, and I had done, I think at that point, I had hosted an open mic, like a monthly thing in our local theater. And so there was something that just made me think, what if I put these 3 things together, my art, my photography, and my music, and made a living with that? And it felt crazy and unrealistic, but at the same time was like, well, this is, I don't know, kind of like maybe this is my best shot. I've
Mhm.
got to do something. So that's where I started. I did not start out thinking I'm going to be able to paint full time and make a living with that. At that point, it felt like I'm going to piece together these different things and somehow make it work.
And I love that. I think that that's such a beautiful um, representation of the reality of where we often start, which is not like, yes, this, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the contrast. It's the no, there's no way I can do teaching. Like
Yeah,
that feels like there's no possible way that I can actually hold that in my life right now. And so
right.
that no opens up the door for the what if. And I loved what you said, like, what if I could make this work?
Yeah.
And I think that that's so powerful. That what if is such a powerful motivator because it's like opening the door of possibility, like possibly what if this
Mm-hmm.
could work. So take me through that process as you opened that what if door. How did what fears came up? What were the obstacles that got in your way? How did you overcome those one little what if at a time?
There was, I feel like the first few months of doing this, I don't, I don't remember fears because it felt like I have no other choice. I've got to make this work. And so it was like all my energy was just being poured into how do I do it? And it was October when I was living in her house doing this. I also figuring out where me and my kids are going to live, all of it. And and I was like, I had never really done much window painting, but I was like, okay, a lot of businesses hire people to paint, winter window scenes, November, December. So I'm going to, like, that's something I can do that people will pay me money for. Oh, people want family portraits. And so I just put together this whole like mini session package. And so I don't think the fears and doubts at that point, um, I think they came later, really,
Mm-hmm.
to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love that. I think that that's so true because in the beginning, there is that I've got to make this work.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing that's so powerful is this following the breadcrumbs of yes. It
Mm-hmm.
was just yes, go window paint. Yes, go put together family portraits packages. It was just do this, do that, do this. And those breadcrumbs of yes, I think are often there in the beginning. I know for me in starting my business, it felt really easy. Not, not easy at the time. Like I would never at the time have said it was easy, but looking back, I agree. Like a lot of the fears and the doubts came later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, there's sort of that. I mean, this is the way I am with a lot of my creative ideas. Is the idea itself has so much energy behind it, and you start on this thing, and it's more the messy middle. It's that part where you're looking you're frustrated because it's taking longer than you thought it would, and looking at it like, oh my gosh, is this just gonna fall apart, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell me about this messy middle. I want to hear a little bit more about this messy middle because while it is the messy middle, it is also the extraordinary. It's like both at the
Yeah,
same time. Like you're living this dream that you probably never even fathomed for yourself when you were like, I'll just do windows.
yeah,
Like, tell me a window mural I can paint. And yet now you're living this extraordinary experience, but still it feels like you're in the messy middle. And I think
yes,
that that's important to realize because sometimes it can feel like I'm not there yet because I'm in the messy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, wow, I'm here, and here actually feels messy. And maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, So tell me a little bit more about well, let's start first of all. I would love to hear what you're doing now, because I would love for our listeners to hear what you have accomplished since being in that place of, let me just paint murals and take family photos. I'll do whatever I need to do. Or even before that, I'll just rake somebody's leaves, right? Where are you now? What are you doing now? What have you created in that space in between?
So what I'm doing now, when people ask me what I do, I say I'm an artist, a gallery owner, and a community art activist, because I have a studio gallery. I make art and sell it, and but I also do events, and I'm really passionate about uplifting other artists around me, and not not looking at them as competitors, but really just uplifting. I'm the only gallery in Bonners Ferry, and so I'm visible. But there are all these other artists here in the county that kind of create tucked away in the trees here and there, and sometimes come out to like the craft fairs and things like that. And so using my position, I would say the activism part. Um, Part of that is for youth, kids, to see the value of creativity, to where they can see that the thing inside of them is valuable. It can be used as a real job. So I'm really passionate about that. But then also just with other artists around me, to be able to elevate and bring light to what they're doing too.
Yeah. So I love that visual of like all these artists that are tucked away in the trees. And I have this gallery, and it's actually it's put me in a place of influence. And I'm curious how you came out of the trees and into this gallery, because as the only artist with a gallery in Bonners Ferry, I'm sure that was not something that you were following another model. It
No,
wasn't like you do this.
no.
It was you figuring it out one step at a time. So how did you manage to come out of the trees and into this place of influence and owning your own gallery?
So I was never planning to have a gallery in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. I've lived here for 21 years, and there's never been a point in in that time period where I thought to myself, "Oh, this is a place where people buy lots of art, and this would be a great business." um, so how the gallery came about is maybe 6 to 9 months after I decided, okay, this is how I'm going to make my living with art, music, and photography. I I just started thinking, like, how am I going to get my art in places where it will sell, and felt like I've got to break into the art world, in quotes, the art world, which in my mind was getting in New York galleries, getting in, um, European shows and places where there is an art world, because there isn't one in Bonners Ferry. And so I started applying to shows and galleries, and I did that for, I think I had been doing that for about a year, a little more than a year. Um, and I went to a New York show in the Hamptons, took my art, showed there, got in some galleries, worked with a Toronto gallery. They took my work to Paris. Like, that's what I was doing and focusing on, thinking that's what I needed to do in order to make a living at this, do this full time. While I was doing all of that, I saw this space for lease one day. Just I don't remember what I was doing, and I just saw the sign in the window, and this space with these, like, I have three really big windows downtown, lots of visibility, and I was just like, I need to have my art here. That building needs my art in it. And that was the initial thought. And then of course, the second thought is, that's crazy. You can't have an art gallery in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. And the first thought said, I know it's crazy. I'm doing it anyway. And I called the number and I had keys and was moving in less than a week later.
I love that. I talk a lot about the first voice and the second voice here on the podcast, and that first voice is that voice of knowing. It's
Yep.
it's that when you get quiet and still and drop down deep, it's the voice that says yes. That's the breadcrumb of yes. That's the like take that next step. And then it's the second voice, which is all the doubt and the fear and the what am I doing and this is crazy and I need to go to New York, not Bonners Ferry. What am I thinking?
Right.
And what I love is that the first step that I as I'm kind of hearing your story and piecing together all the different steps is you claimed your vision. You claimed, I am going to make money as an artist. I'm going to make this work. And that claiming it sometimes comes in the face of not wanting the other option. Like,
Right.
I am not going to teach. That doesn't even feel like it. I have the capacity to do that right now. And I'm going to make this work no matter what. I'm going to make this work. And that claiming of your vision opens doors of possibility that you could have never imagined. That's what I think is so beautiful about how God and the universe works. It's like once we claim it, then there are miracles, there's doors that open that we could have never anticipated. And for you, it sounds like that was following this breadcrumb of yes, saying step into this lease in Bonners Ferry of all
Right.
places where there's not even another art gallery. And it's transpired into something more than you could have even fathomed at that point. So
Yeah.
tell us about what you're doing now. How is your art? Like who do you work with? How are the people finding you in Bonners Ferry?
I would say about, I think maybe between a quarter to a third of people find me just walking by. I'm I'm downtown, close to where the farmers market is in the summer. There's a casino across the road, and people walk by my gallery to come downtown to eat that are staying there. So there's foot traffic. Um, and then I have, actually, that might be less because I've worked really hard for promoting myself, getting myself in different publications. And I have events at the gallery that are a great way to bring people in because there are a lot of people that a couple different categories. Some people feel like I'm not an art person and they would never walk into an art gallery. And there are other people that like art but feel just maybe a little bit hesitant. They don't really know what this is, what I'm doing. And so when I have events, it brings a lot of people into the gallery that wouldn't come in just walking by. And then, so yeah, promoting myself in publications, different online venues, and then social media. My social media, I've worked to grow that and with engagement and everything. And between my major platforms there, I'm getting about 100,000 organic views a month. So there are a lot of people that start following me and see what I'm up to, and then that's it's sort of like building this relationship over time where they see what I'm doing, and then oftentimes, so actually just before we got on the call, there were a couple ladies that came up from Sandpoint, the town over from us, who one of them has followed me for years. She actually started following me when I was doing my music, and she's done different creative ventures, but we had never met in person. She just came in. So social media is definitely working for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how did you, what what was that journey like, going from not putting yourself out there in the world at all to promoting yourself? Tell me, because oftentimes, for me, for my clients, for other women that I know that are in this journey of sharing their gifts with the world, that self-promotion can be a really challenging part of the journey. What have you found with that, and what's been helpful for you? What have you had to maybe reframe or rethink?
At the beginning, it was just sort of this idea of like, well, if they're going to buy it, they're going to have to find a way to discover it. And so my social media a few years ago, as well as, approaching galleries or any kind of promoting myself at that point, was from, it felt more clear cut of just like, here's what I have. I've got to I've got to find a way for people to see it, and then they'll buy it. And then now I have an understanding so much more of the way that people connect to art, why somebody's going to buy art, and showing up, telling my story, talking about who I am, what I'm up to, all of the things that go into the art, my energy that I bring when I'm creating it, all of those things. I feel like it's so much bigger than just here's a painting. If I show it to enough people, they're going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from a very different place now than it did
Mm-hmm.
3-4 years ago.
Yeah. And what are you noticing as it's coming from that very different place from within you?
One thing that I notice is the way that I value my art differently. I see how this particular painting, somebody connects to it, they buy it, take it to their home, and then they tell me what it does for them, how it changes them, how it makes the space feel. And understanding, like, that's something that's been kind of mind blowing to me, actually, because when I went to New York and had stuff go to Paris, I knew my art was beautiful. I knew that, but I didn't understand at that point the power it had to transform somebody else, or the power it had to make somebody feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And isn't that interesting that this journey has been more about you coming home to yourself and to the gifts that you have, not just the gift of making something beautiful on a canvas, but the gift of creating an experience and a feeling and influencing and impacting another life for good. That's the most beautiful gift that you've received from this journey. Yes, it's about promoting yourself and selling your art and doing something that creates meaning for you and income for your family. But ultimately, what it comes down to is this coming home to yourself and recognizing the beauty of the gifts that you have to share. And and how that journey, I mean, what a beautiful journey to think, well, if I'm shown in New York, then that means I'm creating an impact. And what I'm hearing you discover is, no, I'm recognizing through this unconventional journey that it's not about my art at all. It's about who I'm becoming as I show up, encourage, and continue to put myself and my art out there, trusting that it's going to make an impact, that I'm going to be able to make a living from this, that it's going to be something that's beneficial for me and my family and for those in the community.
Yeah, so interesting to see the value in it, and that's exciting for me to be able to model that for other people, model that for other artists. The thing inside you is valuable. The world needs it. The world needs your voice, you know, like, yeah, that's really fulfilling when I can connect with somebody in that way, or somebody can see what I'm doing and feel inspired. I hate the word inspired. It's like, so I need a bigger word, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
something better. But
Mm-hmm.
that's at the, I guess, at the core of it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And that I love the vision beyond the vision that's deeper than the vision, right? Which is that what you have, the gifts that you have to share are needed. They're
yeah.
valuable. Your voice matters, your gifts matter. And it doesn't even matter what those gifts are.
Right.
It's the gift that you have to share with the world is your art. And somebody else might have a very different gift. And that gift may be as simple as just influencing a child in their home. It may
Mhm.
be influencing a teenager through coaching the local volleyball team. It may be just in sharing your art with the world or being a coach and sharing your gifts. There's so many different ways that we have these gifts, and it doesn't matter what it is. It just matters that it's that we have the courage to share it.
Right. Yeah.
And
And I think that I like your breadcrumbs thing because, like I said, I didn't feel like I have this gift that the world needs. That's not how it started out. And now I can see how, yeah, the world needs this. My community needs this. But at the beginning, it didn't feel like that at all.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually on a call with a client today, and she was talking about how on this journey, she's been on this quest to find her purpose. And what she has discovered in this journey was that the quest is false. There is no quest to
Right.
find your purpose. It's really just about remembering the truth of who she truly is and tapping into the gifts that she has to share right now, and that she is enough right now, and whatever she has to give right now is going to lead her on the path in the next step that's meant for her. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about choosing the right next step. It's not about becoming more. It's not about striving. It's
Yeah.
just about following that breadcrumb of yes, taking
Mm-hmm.
the next step and trusting in the gifts that are already there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the thing Amber always says, contrast creates clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was clear, okay, teaching, I can't do that. And then the other things that I was looking at, other jobs, like, okay, go get a reception job, or I don't know, go work at the grocery store. Like, um, it was so important to me to do something where I could be available to my kids and be at their games, their sports. Like, that was so important to me. And so that was part of it, was the contrast. It's like, I cannot go do something right now where where my kids will never see me. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another part of it, of like, how do I, and so piecing these things together, I'm like, okay, if I'm doing photography sessions, I schedule that when I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just I I don't see it as, at that point, here was this clear path, and the vision opened up and the sun came down and it was this whole thing laid out for me. It wasn't like that at all.
No, no, and it never is. And I think that that's the misconception. I think the misconception is that, oh, these people that are doing these extraordinary things, they had this vision from the get-go. And it's not.
No.
It's that you have the courage to take the next step. You
Hmm.
have the light that illuminates the next step, but nothing beyond there. It's
Right.
just follow this next breadcrumb of yes, and it trust that it's leading you in the direction of your own personal extraordinary. That the faith is not in the outcome, the faith is in yourself and in that knowing. And that's what I'm hearing is that trust in that knowing has been strengthened over time. That in the beginning, it's just like, well, yeah, I hope this works. But now it's kind of like, well, yeah, I don't know where I'm going, but I trust that the next step is going to take me in some direction. I don't know where it's going yet, but I'll trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And seeing all of the failures along the way. So at the end of last year, I wrote out lists of like, okay, year's end, here's everything. I wrote one for everything I've accomplished in my business, one for everything I've accomplished in my art itself, like the growth of that. And then I wrote out a list, thinking about all these things. I started thinking about, quote, failures. Wrote this whole list of failures I've had since embarking on this, failures I've had in my art. It is a very, very, very long list. Like if I counted, and that would be things like shows where I didn't sell a single thing, or galleries I approached with a no, and the answer was no, or I mean, all kinds of things, right? But the interesting thing with that where you're talking about my faith has been strengthened in this is when I go look at that list of failures, I kind of draw out this little branch from each thing. Here was the show where I didn't sell anything, but because I was there, I went in all these different galleries. I got a bunch of no's, but then this one said yes, and they took my work and then sold that. Like all these, the failures where like the branch off of that, you can see how that was like a stepping stone or somehow helped me into the next thing,
I love that. It's like a stepping stone map.
Yeah, right.
I love that because yeah, it's that what is it that yes lives in the land of no, and that all of these no's are leading you in a direction that may seem hopeless or fruitless at the moment, but are actually taking you in a direction that you can only see in hindsight.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, that I love that. That's a great practice. I think that's a really beautiful, beautiful practice. So one of the things we were talking about before we hopped on the recording was this idea of getting paid as a creative. And I know for me, I coach a lot of entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of women who feel like they have a gift to share. And there's we have a lot of money stories around sharing gifts and getting paid for it. So tell me about your experience with that and what you've done to maybe question some of those stories or maybe move through some of those stories.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the art world, there are people who feel like if you're painting anything with the idea of an audience or the idea of this is going to be sellable, somebody's going to buy this, that it dilutes the process or the inspiration. And so that's something I wrestle with a lot, actually. The sort of the push and pull between my inspiration and energy and what I want to create and then what my audience is buying. This year I've had I think about 60 to 70% of my revenue has been from commissions. So that means I'm painting something that somebody they come to me with what they want and I'm painting that for them. And there's the part of me where there are points at which I have to put that down and go do something different with no thought, like this may never sell, like I'm just doing this for me. And to keep my creative energy going, I have to do that. And yet to create this, this commission for the pizza place where I'm going to be able to pay a month rent and get credit for my son who loves and eats pizza there all the time. Like, there is something so incredibly valuable about that. And I think that artists who want to devalue that, like, I don't feel shameful in doing that. There are some artists that would say, like, you're selling out or whatever. Every one of us has things that we're doing, whether we're working as an employee or, working as a coach or whatever. Like, we are exchanging something we have of value for feeding our kid pizza, putting gas in the car, paying our mortgages. And so why would there be something wrong with that? Why would that be shameful? So everything. That's like a very big answer, and I have a lot of thoughts about that I wrestle with regularly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would agree. I've had a lot of that same wrestle, especially as I'm working with women to step into their gifts, to share their gifts with the world. And sometimes that can feel like I'm helping women share their spiritual gifts and I'm getting paid for it. Like how does that, how do I wrestle and how do I reconcile that? And one of the thoughts that I've had that has helped me recently is there are a lot of really gifted surgeons or doctors who have spent years studying medicine so that they can use their gift of healing to help someone heal.
Right.
There is no difference. There is no difference in sharing a gift that is helping someone heal emotionally, or like your art coming into somebody's home and creating a sense of the feeling that they want to create in their home. I mean, that is an incredibly valuable gift that you have to share with the world. And it's of value. People value it. And so it sounds like the wrestle has been valuing it yourself as something that can be sold.
Right. And changing, shifting from this mentality of, okay, my time and materials, and well, I mean, that first winter painting windows, I was like, gosh, is like, if I'm kind of charging about $15 an hour for my time, is that going to be too much? Like, okay, if I'm making 15 an hour, that should be good. And now I'm like, what you are paying for when you buy a piece of art from me, it is not my time and materials. It is not the cost of the canvas and the paint and then paying me a wage, an hourly wage. What you are buying is exactly what you said. It's the feeling, the way that this piece of art transforms your living room or your bedroom or your office, what it represents. So I was like making my little frameworks the other day of like of art, what it means, or like why you would buy art, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it means, and what it's worth. And there is there is actually an investment value. Some people are actually buying and selling art as an investment, the way that you would with stocks. And my art sells that way. Like, I've sold pieces on the secondary art market, and people are buying them and holding them as they watch my value increase. So there's this whole other thing beyond just like the way that you connect to it, where the things that I'm creating are actually valuable far beyond that first just very basic idea of, okay, getting paid for my time and materials.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it interesting that your belief in the value of your art has to come first?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That like if you would have charged that $15 an hour to create the art that you have created, even if it is fine art, would those people be buying your art and investing it, watching you grow?
No.
I don't think so.
No. Nope.
Yeah. So most of the value of your art starts with your own belief in the value of it. And
Yeah.
we get to control that. We have influence and can cultivate belief in the value that we hold, and that influences the value that other people see in us and what we have to offer, which is just it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up here, I want to be aware of your time. So I was telling you beforehand that I have my daughter is an incredible artist. She really is very talented. And so what advice would you have for other, and it doesn't have to be artists, it can be anyone who is a creative and wants to use their creative gifts in the world. What advice would you share with someone who is wanting to bring an idea to life? Maybe it is that they're in that place of like, I know I can't be a teacher, and possibly I could sell my art, or I could sell this gift that I have and make it into a business. What advice would you have for them?
I think two things. One would be to ask, and that looks different, depending on what you're trying to put out there. But to just ask, and that could look like, so if for art, like an example for me was every place I went in, restaurant, brewery, bar, bank, business, uh, whatever, eye doctor, I would ask, do you rotate your artwork? I would love to show you my work. I think I would love to show it here. And just asking. And so in different ways with different creativity, that's going to look different. But asking to show what you do to somebody. And then the other thing would be to collect other people's interactions with your work, sort of like you're going around and like you're gathering, you're foraging, like you're finding, or like, I don't know, you're finding all these gold coins and you put them in your little satchel and you hold on to them. So that would be things like so examples of that I do. Somebody walks into my gallery, here's this other artist that comes because she wants to access my network and have me share something she's doing. But she walks in and she stops and she looks and she goes, "You're the real deal." That's something I need to take it and put it in my little satchel as evidence when I'm in the middle of a project and I'm working on this commission and it's not going the way I thought, or I'm just losing steam and I feel like I can't do this. And then I have to, it's like, go rifle through my little satchel of evidence that what I'm doing is working. And what I'm doing is connecting with people. So at the beginning of your process, it's going to be those little things. Like, don't discount your friend like stopping and looking at what you're doing and going, "Whoa, that's really cool." Take it. Like, don't discount that as like, "Oh, they're just my friend. They're just trying to be supportive." No, take that and like put it in your little satchel and hold on to like every single one of those, because that's part of what helps you build the belief and helps you start to understand your value. And it's so
Yeah.
necessary.
And that is that belief builds everything. I will be what I believe. Our belief is where everything begins. That's where I have seen transformation happen. When we change at the level of belief, we transform our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we have to borrow someone else's belief because our own isn't as strong. And that's okay. That's
Right.
totally okay. I
Yeah.
love that idea of gathering the little coins. It's like going on a treasure hunt. Like, let me find all the beliefs. And sometimes you can find little beliefs, little coins of your own belief that maybe were tucked away from, a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And sometimes that belief can be your friend that walks in and says, yeah, you're the real deal. But gather those as evidence because
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy to shine our light on everything that we're not.
Yeah.
Really easy. It's the default mechanism in our brain to shine the light on everything that we're not. We have to intentionally cultivate belief.
Right.
And I love that idea of gathering the coins, going on a treasure hunt, gathering the evidence of belief. I think that that's powerful.
And the feeling too. So like when somebody buys my work and I feel that like, wow, this was valuable enough for them to pull out their wallet. And you like putting that, like counting that as valuable too, the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And my first time I sold art that I remember, I believe I was 5 years old, and I painted rocks with my sister's nail polish. I don't remember how much wrath I endured from my sister over this because I don't think I had permission. But I I told my mom I want to have an art stand, and so I went out. And my mom was amazing. You know, she sat in the car like behind me, let me do my thing on the side of the road with art for sale. And this trucker stopped, bought the whole box for $5, and I still like it's so silly, and yet there was that it's the same feeling. I created something, and of course the trucker was just like, "Oh, that's so sweet. I'm going to do this." You know, it's not like the rocks themselves were valuable to him, and yet they represented something to him that was worth stopping for and paying me $5, and I felt absolutely rich and amazing and like anyway. But yeah,
No, I
the feeling is valuable too.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And that's where I do the majority of my work is in the feeling, in the body, in the embodied experience, because our beliefs, our beliefs communicate with us at the level of our body and our heart. They
Mm-hmm.
don't communicate in our minds. We can put them into a phrase or an affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
but information does not create transformation. Experience creates transformation. And your experience of having that trucker at 5 years old, you still remember that.
Yes.
It transformed you.
Right. Right.
It created a belief. It planted the seed of belief that I can create something that other people value, that my
Mm-hmm.
gifts of creation are valuable to someone else.
Right.
And that belief, I mean, talk about a breadcrumb. Like you followed that breadcrumb up until this point today. And
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful example of how turning up the volume on that belief, all you've done over the course of your life is continue to turn the volume up on that belief. And it's led you to where you are today.
Except that I spent 15 years or more than 15 years muting it, putting
Mm-hmm.
it and pushing it down because it wasn't acceptable, it wasn't valued, and I didn't make art from about the age of whatever, from about the time I got married until
Mm-hmm.
when I started painting at like age whatever 37 or 38, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't because it was, I mean, there were a lot of factors in that, but I absolutely just cranked the volume right down to nothing, and I feel like there were a lot of bad things that came out of stuffing that down. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And I see that happen a lot,
Mm-hmm.
that turning down the volume on our gifts, the truth of who we are, we mute it because it feels safer.
Yep.
Sometimes it feels important to turn it down. Sometimes it feels selfish to have a gift. And so we turn it down for that reason. But what I have found, it never feels right. There's always that little, I call it the little voice of knowing. There's just that, it's like, I know I catch a glimpse of this gift that I have, this woman that I know in my heart that I'm designed to be. I catch glimpses of it. And sometimes that's just a feeling. Sometimes that's a 5-year-old on the side of the road and remembering the feeling that you had. There are glimpses. And when we tune into that, when we turn the volume back up on that gift, on that truth of who we are, it doesn't just open up opportunities, it opens us up.
Yeah.
It's like coming home to ourselves. It's like a breath of fresh air. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
drink of water when you're parched. There is no other way to describe it other than just this, like I knew it was here all along, but like you said, I stuffed it down for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But there was an ember that was
Yeah.
always burning there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
interesting as I've started, what at that point in my life would have been so selfish for me to spend time painting. And not just selfish, but there was a judgment on it, like, this is not, like, you should be using that time to serve others, kind of thing. And what's so interesting as I've followed this quote selfish thing of painting, seeing the way it serves others, and this thing of like following the absolute thing that it's all me, like I'm not painting, it's not like I'm painting pictures of Jesus on the cross and it's serving somebody in the sense of like this value to their faith in that way or whatever, but just painting what's inside of me is serving them, and that's crazy. And
Mhm.
I avoided it for so long because it felt frivolous.
Yeah. There's and I don't know the exact quote, but it is the idea that when we live into our own gifts and our own light, it gives permission for others to do the same.
Yes.
And that our light is meant to be in the world, that it's meant to shine, and that light influences and serves others uh, in a way that can't be duplicated in going out and serving at a soup kitchen. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like,
Of
of
course.
course, like
Yeah.
go serve at a soup kitchen,
Yes.
and also trust that the desire that you have, the gifts that feel so natural and so filling and fulfilling are there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They're not selfish. It's a part of who you are that is asking to be seen, to be felt, to be heard for a reason.
Right. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
can, it's easier to see that in others, right? Like we can,
Mm-hmm.
of course, like we look at our kids and the things that they're good at, or the things that they have that little like inching towards this thing, but they're kind of like, well, what am I going to do with this? And as moms, we're like, we can see that and we can push, say, yes, the world needs that. Do it. Just follow it.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to do it with ourselves, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, what a beautiful conversation. I really appreciate your thoughts and your insights. I know this is going to be incredibly valuable for my listeners. And I love your story. I love the extraordinary things that you're doing, one little ordinary step at a time, and following that little breadcrumb of yes, following those little nudges that are taking you in the direction of expanding your gifts, and in that process, serving in the way that you always knew you were meant to serve, but in a totally different way than maybe you had thought in the first place. So yeah. I love it. So I will share Hannah's information at the bottom of the show notes, just so you can connect with her, take a look at her art, take a look at what she's doing in the world, share her gifts as just a light for others, and recognizing that your gifts matter, what you have to offer matters, your voice, your talents, what you have is a light that others need to see. And Hannah's been a great example of that. Thank you for sharing your story, Hannah. It's been great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Misty. This has been a really fun conversation. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So for all of you, until next time, this is Misty Springer with Aligned Heart. As always, if this is a podcast episode that a friend or a loved one needs to hear, maybe they have a light that they're meant to shine, share it. Let's spread the word. Till next time, bye-bye.